Welcome, fellow travelers. Today we're delving into the glorious world of air travel. You know, that magical experience where you trade your life savings for the opportunity and privilege of sitting in a tiny metal tube, hurtling through the sky and just praying that your luggage gets to the similar zip code that you were destined for. And this week we've got a few things to talk about, from delays are not what you think, all the way to FAA has let Boeing off its short leash. And of course, there's always a few tidbits in between. I hope you enjoy. As passengers, our prayers don't seem to have been answered. Because while airlines are busy lobbying against, well, you know, us passengers, they're also racking up delays faster than I rack up credit card bills for those snacks in the airport concession stands. A recent proposed rule that would have seen airlines pay up to $775 for lengthy delays. Can you imagine the airlines actually paying us for their operational challenges? Oh my gosh, what a dream. It is totally unthinkable. It was a dream. It was a dream. But fear not, airlines. The U.S. government, in its infinite wisdom, has saved the day, jettisoning that rule faster than a budget airline jettisons your legroom. And now the industry wants to go even further, much further. Their deregulatory wish list reads less like a proposal than it does like a passenger's nightmare. They're not just asking for minor tweaks to the rule. Oh no, they want to roll back mandatory refunds for canceled flights, because who needs their money back when your vacation dreams are shattered, right? Am I right? Also, that pesky all-in pricing rule, gone. Why know the actual price until you get to the very end with a cascade of hidden fees at your checkout? It's like a fun, spontaneous game show. What's behind that door? Hey, and I get that the whole thing is complicated. I'm not saying that, but I think the rule is getting pulled because the FAA itself is becoming more the routine cause of delay. Just take New York area staffing. Those issues are suppressing traffic until at least a year from now. Networks, and add to that, network issues at Newark. It's not all the airline's fault, and there's no way for them to recover unless the FAA provides the service that it's supposed to. It is our own government's fault, so pull the rule. Kind of makes sense, because the government may have to pay you back, or me back, our ticket rather than the airline. Maybe passengers can be part of the equation when the brand new air traffic control system finally gets implemented and the air traffic controller staffing issue is resolved. I wouldn't hold your breath though. So let's talk a little bit about the heroes of our travel woes, the airports themselves. A new report just crowned Dallas-Fort Worth, DFW in other words, the worst in the US for flight delays. The worst, with an on-time percentage of only 71.1%. It's really not so bad, because if you look at Europe, that's what they do, and this is our worst, that's their best. That's right, DFW is a repeat offender, a true connoisseur of tardiness. It is like the airport version of a friend who's always 5 minutes away, but you absolutely know that they haven't left the house yet. I used to avoid Chicago, but times are changing, and now it's time to avoid Dallas. But joining DFW in the Hall of Shame are Washington National, of all places, Denver, Miami. Why is it all the places that I fly a lot to? Even the world's busiest airport, Atlanta Hartsfield, is clocked in as the 5th worst. Now, that kind of makes sense, because that place is darn busy. It seems the busiest also means the most leisurely when it comes to on-time departures. Perhaps they're just encouraging us to savor that airport environment, the experience, a little more time in the concession stands, and where you can buy those miniature replicas of the state, of a keychain of a state that you're in. That's always important. So we need to talk about the leading cause of those delays: a late arriving aircraft. Oh, that kind of makes sense. It's a classic domino effect, really. One late plane is like a slightly over-caffeinated squirrel at a picnic. Chaos ensues. And guess what accounted for less than 1% of all nationwide delays? Extreme weather. Remember the excuse where the weather was the reason for 70% of all delays? Yeah, well, that's baloney now. So next time you're stuck on the tarmac, don't blame Mother Nature. Blame, well, probably another late aircraft, because you're probably late and therefore everybody else is late. So how do we, the intrepid travelers, navigate this labyrinth of delays and disappearing consumer protections? Experts recommend that we prioritize leaving early in the morning. Get the early flight out, because nothing says vacation like waking up before the sun, like 2 a.m. in order to get to the airport, get checked in before people are even manning the baggage counters. Also, you should fly non-stop. Duh! Because why add another potential delay point when you can just get to your destination in one glorious, unbroken stretch of anxiety? That is an easy answer, but who flies direct to where you want to go? Nobody. Nobody. They go through Charlotte, they go through Dallas, they go through Atlanta, they go through Chicago. Thank you, Points Guy, for the terrible advice. Now, while we passengers are busy navigating the chaos, let's give a shout out to the unsung heroes who actually make sure that these metal birds don't, run into each other and actually get to our destination, even if we are late. I'm talking about the air traffic controllers. The FAA has been on a hiring spree, exceeding their goal of 2,000 controllers hired in this fiscal year, 2025. They even supercharged the process, cutting down the hiring time by 5.5 months. It's like they realized that perhaps having enough people to direct the planes in the sky might be a good idea. Absolutely revolutionary. I know, it's super innovative. And now maybe a solution for Newark, which has seemed to get can't get a landline communication to work right. Startical. Who makes up these names of these companies? A company that is jointly created by ENAIR, the Spanish air navigation service provider, and Indra, who's a air traffic control technology provider, just successfully transmitted data between an aircraft and an air traffic controller from space. That's the big deal. That's right. While we are still trying to get reliable Wi-Fi at 30,000 feet, they're sending air traffic control mission-critical messages via satellite. They've got their priorities straight, I guess. I hope it works better than the in-flight entertainment system. Hey, for years we've been promised that the skies would be blanketed with electric flying vehicles and air taxis zipping us over traffic and taking us to communities as breezy as a cloud. And then reality set in, and some of these companies have had a little internal chat. Two corporate giants, Airbus and Hyundai Supernal, with pockets deeper than the Mariana Trench, swooped in with grand visions. They showed us beautiful mock-ups, promised us the future, and then they hit the pause button faster than you can say regulatory hurdles. Airbus decided to wait for better battery technology and regulations to evolve. Wouldn't it be their responsibility to create that stuff? I mean, they are a top-tier airplane manufacturer. They said, we're not entirely sure how to make this thing fly more than 5 minutes, and we're going to hold on to our know-how until somebody else figures it out. Yeah, that's smart. Very smart. And then there's Supernal. Oh, Supernal, they decided to strategically review our program's progress and next steps, which, according to our highly scientific analysis here at Agave Studios, translates to we might have oversold the flying car concept to everyone, and we were dreaming a little bit. Their chief executive, the former NASA associate administrator, by the way, is even stepping down. I guess the strategic look does not include his services. And let's not forget that prototype never flew without a tether, because nothing screams the future of air transportation like being held back by a long string. Oh, and speaking of strings, ever felt like flying was a little bit up in the air, especially the last couple of years? Well, for years, if you flew on a Boeing 737 MAX or a shiny brand new 787 Dreamliner, the folks at Boeing were basically saying, trust us, it's fine on behalf of the US government. Believe me, please. And now, after a few little oopsies, you know, the kind that involve planes falling out of the sky, and Doris deciding to go on a solo adventure mid-flight, the FAA said, hold on, Boeing, just a sec. Maybe we should check your homework. So, 18 months of intense staring at each other, furrowed brows, and probably a lot of caffeine, the FAA has decided to partially trust Boeing again. That's right. That they are going to let Boeing do some of their own safety certifications and give those privileges back to them. But they are not giving all the keys back to the kingdom. Not all the keys. The FAA is in a move what could only be described as parental supervision meets corporate trust. And they've decided that Boeing can issue airworthiness certificates on alternating weeks. Alternating weeks, every other week. And according to an FAA statement, safety drives everything they do, and they are allowing this because they are confident that it can be done safely. Plus, it frees up inspectors to, you know, basically actually do inspections on the other side of the weeks. So next time you fly, please remember that it's Boeing's word half the time, it's the FAA's word the other half of the time. Sweet dreams on that one. So, until next time, keep your tables up, your seat backs in the upright and locked position, and your expectations in check. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe to the notification bell, and we will see you next time. Welcome, fellow travelers, back to the glorious world of air travel, where you know that noisy little plane